Welcome to Seen and Heard podcast, where everyone should be seen and heard. And welcome to my co-host Aaron in Germany. Thanks for joining us in
Hello.
Germany.
Hallo, vielen Dank. Yeah, I'm
What
glad to be
time is it?
here.
What time is it there?
It is 2 minutes before midnight.
Oh, and I'm in Tennessee. It is 4:59 p.m. in the afternoon.
Awesome.
Thank you for staying up late with me.
Oh, that's okay. Night owls all over the world. Hello.
We are going to discuss what happened in Houston, Texas. A black woman was attacked by a black man with a brick, and our discussion is going to open up with that. We'll talk about some other cultural, societal issues as well, but we're going to open up with her video, and then we're both gonna discuss and talk on the other side of that. So I'm gonna cue this up here right now. I'm trying not to have any dead silence, but here we go with her name is Rho Reports. That's on her Instagram, TikTok, and I believe TikTok. I don't know if she has a Twitter or not. Maybe she has it frozen, but this is Rho Reports, and this is the video that I started seeing last night.
Yo, this man just hit me in my face with a brick, and all these black men just watch, and they don't give. Brick is. Yeah, this man hit me. Grabbed a rock, because I would have given him my number. And all y'all watch. What you want to see that? What you want? What y'all do? I want y'all to be a man. I want y'all to be a man and fucking do something. Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face? What have I ever done to anybody in my life to deserve this? I never did anything in my life to hurt anybody. Literally, a man asked me for my number. I said no, and he picked up a brick in front of so many men and was like, "What you gonna do?" And I told all these men, like, "Yo, why this man got a brick on my face?" And he's holding a. Yo, this man.
That is
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was a pretty big, swollen side of her face. He must have hit her really hard.
And just the idea of sh- she has every right to say no. Any woman has any right to say no. If a man is asking for her number, she should not be obligated, especially if she doesn't know him. And
Exactly.
then the men that stood around and didn't help. A few weeks ago, we saw community unity with
Hmm.
surrounding the boat captain in Montgomery, Alabama. Everybody
Hmm.
was celebratory and came to that they saw these black men come to the aid of rightfully come to the
Hmm.
aid of this boat captain, and defend him. And that now, even then, back then, people were saying, well, if this was a woman, I don't think those black men would have come to her aid. And of course, we didn't see their voices weren't as loud because everybody was celebrating. But the idea that this this proves what they said was right. What do you think, Aaron? I know you're in Germany, but
Yeah. Yeah. These things get reported sometimes too here. And honestly, I think that I would like to know if black people would have helped her had it been a white man or a white person who had, done this to her. Would they have defended her like they did the captain in Alabama? Or,
that's a good
the
question.
attitude here? Yeah.
That's a good question. Because when I woke up this morning to see like follow up news on the assault, they the men were pulling up videos from her social media account to try to justify her being assaulted. Uh, there's nothing about. And then they, of course, insult to injury, they want to find, they found out that she was LGBTQ, and that, so that somehow justifies it because they figure she's masculine. You know, the stereotype of her
Oh,
being masculine.
does not justify. It just makes them look like haters, like they're committing a hate crime.
I mean, would that?
It's
Do you think that should be considered a hate crime?
absolutely, if people, well, if it could be a reason, why she was attacked and why no one helped, and then they find out that, she was LGBTQ, it could be considered like a hate crime, committed towards someone if if their intentions were because she's not, heterosexual.
Hmm. That's that.
So yeah,
I see what you're saying. That's kind of like a
yeah,
double protected group. You know, black
yeah, yeah,
woman and LGBTQ.
yeah,
Right.
they're targeted. Yeah. But there
Um.
is no justification whatsoever. It's like, you see someone being hit, like that, and two, because someone said no
Mhm.
to your advances, that's just wrong.
And it's not only that. That's not even the only example. Like here a few months ago. Here's an example of a black woman that was, she was being yelled at in a fast food restaurant, and by a black man. So her son comes in. Chicago mom accused of telling son to shoot man sues police after murder charges are dropped. Kalisha Hood, 35, was held on 3 million bail at the Cook County Jail after she was charged last week with first degree murder and contributing to the delinquency of a minor in connection to June 18th shooting death of Jeremy Brown. Hood was released from jail, and the charges were dismissed against her and her son. It was self defense because the
Yes.
man in question put his hands on her. It was self defense.
Yeah. And that was a good call, to drop the charges. What do you do? And what would have happened to this lady in Houston had she defended herself physically?
Hmm.
Who knows? But yeah.
Well, and it goes back to a quote that Malcolm X said: the most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in
Mm,
America is the black woman," and that's the truth
mm-hmm,
because nobody is coming to black women's defense. There are always excuses or people standing around, like the video showed. They were just standing around. And they let that man get in his car and drive off. They allowed that man to get in his car and drive away.
yeah. The only thing I can say is that I hope that, the more that people videotape these things and they, speak out about it, I hope that, people start to pay attention to these types of things happening to Black women, just like with the kidnappings and, or the missing persons, and how they're now trying to start, paying more attention to the, Black missing persons.
Mhm.
I think that, could be a sign or a glimmer of hope that we're being, validated in our concerns for safety.
Well, that's why we're talking about it because
Yeah.
the mainstream media, you know how they like to
Hopefully.
frame things in defense of everybody else because, like, I
Hmm.
don't. This is kind of off topic, but kind of on topic with the disparity of how they report on black women and white women. There was a white
Hmm.
woman that I was following. I was following the story. I'm gonna pull it up, but I'm a kind of paraphrase here. She killed babies. She killed
Hmm.
7 babies. Okay. Let's see here. She killed babies in the UK. This was in the UK. Okay, and her name is Lucy Letby. Lucy
Interesting.
Letby. Let me see here.
Hmm.
Lucy Letby. Okay. Um I when that first popped up, this is I'm gonna flip this around. So they portray her, Lucy Letby here. Let's see. Okay, this is Lucy Letby. Lucy Letby is a British former neonatal nurse and serial killer who murdered
Hmm.
at least 7 infants and attempted to murder at least 6 others in her care. Okay, look how the pictures that they use up here, like this picture here. Killer
Yes.
nurse, grim life in prison already mapped out. Okay, they did give her life. They give her life, but they're trying to release lady Lucy Lebby, the killer nurse, and the campaign to free her. They're trying to get her free. Okay, and then there was
Hmm.
an Asian doctor,
Hmm.
and I think some other doctors that were trying to sound the alarm like years before she got, and the hospital told these doctors don't any alarms about her, just let it go. They're like, she's killing babies, but just to see how she's getting the benefit of the doubt because of the way she looks. Look at this.
Yeah, I wonder who's trying to
She's
let her
getting the
go. Is it
benefit of the
her
doubt
team
because of
of
the way.
lawyers or barristers? She might
Well,
not get
it just
lucky.
people, fans, there are sick fans out there. The same kind of people that like serial killers like Jeffrey Dahmer, those type of people.
Oh.
The
Mm.
enveloppians that make fan clubs for these type of people because they're harming POC. And
That's
but yeah,
horrible.
they're trying to get her released, and then okay here, so then we have back to black women, Marissa Alexander. She had to try to defend herself in Florida. Florida, the gunshine state. They got the stand your ground law. Look at what they let Zimmerman off for killing Trayvon Martin. Okay, so Marissa Alexander, she speaks out on her release. She finally got released. They gave her 20 years, but she spent uh 3 years in prison and then 2 years on house arrest. So she defended herself by firing in the ceiling. And they were not going to they didn't let her invoke the stand your ground law because she's a black woman. And then what was worse about that was I think the judge was a black woman. It was a like a black
Oh.
prosecutor or something. A
Hmm.
black female prosecutor that was not giving her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
The-
Like,
Um, I I think they have to be under pressure or something by their higher ups, to play the role to keep the job. I don't know. It seems like, you know, there's so many inconsistencies in the justice system,
mhm.
and the harshness, placed upon certain people they consider criminals are much too harsh than it should be. Then for others who are committing crimes, of a certain degree, that seems to be a little bit more lenient. And so that's something that's been discussed a lot about American politics or the justice system is, is it really the justice? Is it really justice? Or is it based off of, how a person looks and, their charm? But
Well,
I don't know. It's very inconsistent and
not
it's not
charm, but
fair.
money,
the Yeah,
money
too.
and access to who they know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's very inconsistent because we can't even like they they gaslight us with saying we have a standard and no one is above the law, but
right.
then we have like the Mango Mussolini who attacked the country and sold our nuclear secrets to other countries. He's still running around, and the people that were closest to him and his regime are still free. to wreak havoc on this government, and they're actually trying to turn it into a fascist autocracy here in the United States. Could you ever imagine thinking that the United States was going to be a fascist autocracy?
They try to play with the idea, I believe, in some Netflix series at some point, you know.
The man in the high tower. Was it the man in the
Something
high
I can't,
tower?
yeah, something I
Yeah.
didn't even watch it, but I thought, well,
I think I saw
look at
one
all the
episode of that. That was creepy. It was like, what if World War II? What if
exactly, yeah.
Hitler won World War II? Yeah, that
Mm.
was the man in the high tower. I
Because
did see
if
like one or two episodes of that. That was scary though. That was
yeah, and
scary.
yeah,
But it's the
seems
same thing
almost
with the
yeah.
Handmaid's Tale. That's supposed to be dystopian
Oh,
fiction. But they're
mm-hmm,
actually everything that we're seeing play out here is just like the Handmaid's Tale or the Parable of the Sower. More like the Parable of the Sower, which was written by a black woman. But
yeah.
yeah, but the same concept is like they're now trying not to let women in Alabama leave the state. They want to
Oh my
test.
gosh.
See, Alabama and Texas,
Oh
they're
wow.
wanting to put like National Guard or cops or whatever, the sheriffs at the borders, and they want to test if women are leaving those states, they want to stop them at the state line and force them to take pregnancy tests.
Why is it? What is this about? Is this about just leaving the state in general to move, or
Well, because of these
for
abortion
abortion?
laws, yeah.
Oh, I see.
They don't want them to leave the state. I mean,
Wow,
it's
that's
still
that's
falling
like
out
Saudi
ridiculous.
Arabia.
Right, right, right. So if you're
It's
in Alabama
mm,
and you're wanting to leave the state to go to another state, they're wanting to
right.
have cops or sheriffs or National Guard give you a pregnancy test
What are they
before
gonna
you leave the
do?
state.
My gosh, that's like Big Brother. How are they gonna? That's horrible. Bye bye Alabama. Goodbye.
I
My
mean,
home
but
state.
they're wanting to do this all over the country, and I
Mm.
wholly believe Florida is a testing spot. Because whatever Florida is getting away, like if you just watch Florida and see what he's getting away with and what's happening down there, they want that's like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a testing ground. They
Hmm.
want what Florida is doing all over the United States.
With DeSantis and all
So
the,
if you
yeah.
just watch any news coming out of
That's
Florida
yeah,
and seeing what he's
right.
doing,
It's yeah, it's so annoying. I can't.
they want this all over the United States. The Republicans.
I I don't know. I feel that with the black woman issue, and the
Mhm.
things we have to go through, I just hope that they break that ice, with you speaking out and not being afraid of, how others will judge them with the stereotypes or, of the angry black woman, that we're speaking out against the wrong things that are being done to us, or the unfairness, um, because it's worth it. I mean, it's when you think about the nurse that you were talking about in the UK, Letby.
Mhm.
I don't know how lucky she's going to get with being set free. I mean, what kind of loopholes are they going to have to go through to, she killed babies, and they're going to have to do a good job of not proving that she murdered, children. So they can be a fan club all they want to, but,
Mhm.
you know, murderous Karens don't get out of prison just because people like them.
Right. She
But
doesn't look
yeah,
like a killer. Look at her face. Ted Bundy didn't
right,
look like
right.
a killer.
They didn't put the worst mugshot up there, but
Yeah, they put her little they put her holding it, which makes it worse to me. Is like the pictures they were using, they showed
yeah,
her like holding little baby clothes and stuff like that. I'm like, that
yeah.
is sadistic. That is
I
some
don't.
kind of sick sadistic. Like, who in the newsroom greenlit that? It's like, oh, let's show a picture of
That's
her with a big smile holding a baby outfit. Like she killed
that's
And
horrible.
I'm not
There's
laughing about that, I'm just laughing at the
yeah,
shocking
yes,
the absurdity of it.
yeah, and how the news, the media sometimes portrays black, criminals or suspects, even before proven guilty, how
Mhm.
they'll put up the worst mugshot so that people can emotionally feel like, oh, that's a really bad person. Look at that
Mhm.
horrible picture, you
They
know?
know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. But that's interesting about the murderous nurse. There's so many things on episode I see. Well, I haven't watched them, but I get them as suggestions. And there's this one European, I think it's like out of Norway or so,
Mhm.
but it's also about a nurse that murders her patients. So apparently, and we've heard about this also in the States, where
Mhm.
I think there's been a white nurse that she actually went to prison for being responsible for the death of her patients as well.
Mhm. There's been
But
several of those cases, yeah.
oh yeah.
Mhm. And then on NPR last week, just last week, I heard that there was a guy that there's a APB out on this guy in Canada he was mailing euthanasia stuff to people in the mail for them to be able to euthanize themselves. Kind of like
Okay.
remember back in I would want to say in the 90s where Dr. Kevorkian. Yeah.
Kevorkian, yeah.
So he's kinda like that, but he's on the run. This guy's on the run and they can't find him, but they wanted when they get him, he's been associated with several, you know, deaths because he
Yeah.
helped assist people with assisted suicide in Canada. And that was just last week, so I don't I haven't heard where if they caught him yet. I guess I need to follow up on that. But yeah, I
That's
heard that on
interesting. Yeah.
NPR last week.
Wow. I don't know if I feel, I'm sort of split on that issue. I
Mhm.
mean, it's legal in Europe, because if people want to die, and then it's obviously legal to be assisted in suicide. But
Yeah.
of course, if someone is tricking people into their suicide, I feel, not so good about that. But of course, suicide is a really big issue in
Right.
America and Canada. It's like one of
Well,
those taboo topics.
it's very taboo, but I have different um beliefs about that too because I had actually had a friend named Adam in Canada right after my husband died, but I was talking to him and he wanted he fought for assisted suicide and he
Hmm.
finally did it himself. They his father found him in the hotel. He did it himself, but he was trying to
Mm.
fight for assisted suicide in Canada, and he
Hmm.
talked to the BBC. His name's
Mm.
Adam Mayer Clayton, and I used to sit up late at night talking to him on Facebook, and until I saw the news that his father found him in the hotel. But this is a picture
Mm.
of my friend Adam Mayer Clayton. He was a advocate for assisted suicide. This is Adam.
Mm. Hmm.
So yeah, we used to talk. And he was in pain. He was in a lot of pain. Like we'll do
Um.
like
Hmm.
another podcast, but I just wanted to show everybody his
Sure.
face. And he had mental illness, but he was in pain,
Mm.
physical
Hmm.
pain all the time. And he fought and advocated for that. And he had tried everything
Mm.
that the doctor said, and nothing worked for him, and he just felt that was his only way out. He didn't want to
Hmm.
suffer. He didn't want people around him to suffer, and he did it on his own. He didn't get the government assistance. But
Mm.
now Canada does have like a MAID, like they have some kind of program called MAID that I was reading up about where it's where disabled people or people that don't want to it's a lot of red tape and stuff that you got to go through, but
Yes.
they're having like some kind of option, and then a lot of people are against it because they feel like it's like a what's the word not genocide but the eugenics because a
Oh
lot of
yes.
people that
Yes.
are disabled might use those options. But
Hmm.
then, like we said, we could go back and forth because, like these days, there are a lot of people that are doing it because of the cost of living, which is a global issue.
Oh
It's
yes.
not even in one specific area, but it's a global issue. South Korea has the highest rate of suicide in the entire world.
Yes.
And they're a developed democratic society. But why do they have the highest rate of suicide? Nobody can afford to live anywhere. What do they
Yeah.
think is going to
Right.
happen? That's my question. What do they think is going to happen? I'm not advocating for anything except for the governments to take care of the people like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But I'm not faulting anybody if they feel the need to do anything like that, because
Right.
what what do they think is going to happen if you cannot afford your home, if you cannot afford you cannot afford to live, and then the governments are wanting to force you to have kids you cannot afford. You can't afford yourself, and they want to force you to have kids, for to meet their bottom line because they need more bodies, that they can, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes. Yeah. It goes back to making me thinking about that abortion, issue and them trying to stop women from leaving Alabama or,
mhm,
making it hard for women to make that decision.
mhm.
It's like, you want us, but then you don't because look at all the prisons. You're building more prisons because it's capitalistic. It's making money, so you need more people in prisons.
And not only that,
Look at all the homeless all over the
the
place.
homeless, they don't want to help
Yeah.
the mothers and the babies when they're born, but they want to force
Yeah.
you to have them.
Right. Yeah.
They want to cut all the
And
programs that can help.
all that, I think, a lot of that is based off of moral stance as
Mhm.
well when it comes to womanhood, motherhood, and religious
Well,
duty for.
moral
And
stance would be, I'm actually pro-choice. So
yeah, me
I'm
too.
not going to put my ideals and my ideology and my beliefs on somebody else. For example, if a
Yeah.
woman is talking to me and she feels for herself that she may get to, which that's going to be hard in itself. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on with the, she may have been SA'd, and she's coming to have to come to a decision about what she wants to do. If she wants to keep that baby, but she should have the right to decide for herself. I don't have
Absolutely.
the right to tell her, you need to have that baby, and no, I'm not going to be there for you for your maternity doctor's appointments. I'm not
Oops, I think we lost you. Hello? I think we'll have to wait until she comes back on. Well, yeah, I'll just talk until I get you back on. Oh, there you are. Are you there? She'll be back on shortly. But yeah, women's choices are important because we're also humans. And thinking about Black women and pregnancy and at times Black women becoming more likely to be mothers of several children, it's also very important that if people don't like the idea of Black women being mothers of several children or many children or whatever, that they should allow, the option for them to want to, terminate their pregnancy or to choose how they want to be a mother or whether they don't want to be a mom. So, um, Sharon, still waiting for you to come back on. But yeah, thinking about the violence towards Black women, um, and how people tend to ignore issues or things that are happening to Black women, violence and certain, social and economic needs. Um, yeah, I definitely feel that I hope that people start to value the importance of women in general, but also, women who are not being seen and heard and validated enough in our experiences. So, still waiting for Sharon to come back in. Having some technical difficulties.